This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated's newsletter, Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter, February 1, 2025. This is Volume 29, Issue Number 3 of the Source for the Insurance Fraud Professional. Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter continues its 29th year of publication, dedicated to those involved in reducing the effect of insurance fraud. ZIFL is published 24 times a year by Claim School and is written by me. It is provided free to anyone who visits the site in the link provided in the blog. You can read the full issue at the link provided in the blog. The issue contains the following articles about insurance fraud. First, $100 million proceeds of a fraud were forfeited to the government, and the Ninth Circuit took the profit out of healthcare fraud. Fraud, in my opinion, will be defeated and deterred by taking the profit out of the crime, as it did to Julian Omidi and his business Surgery Center Management, LLC, which appealed from the district court's forfeiture judgment of nearly $100 million, which came after a lengthy criminal health insurance fraud trial and years of litigation, where Omidi and SCM were convicted of charges arising from their get-thin scheme in which Omidi and SCM defrauded insurance companies by submitting false claims for reimbursement. The Ninth Circuit dealt with Omidi's claim that the trial court erred when it allowed forfeiture under USC Section 981. You can read the article and the full February 1, 2025 issue of ZIFL in the link provided in the blog. Next is an article called Detection, the First Line of Defense in Catastrophe Fraud Indicators, which the people in California and North Carolina are facing today with wildfires and hurricanes. This is a guest article from my friend Leslie Kim, the publisher of the John Cook Fraud Report, and was reprinted from a 2012 article with permission from the author and the publisher. You can read the full article and the full February 1, 2025 issue of ZIFL at the link provided. Then there's an article about more from McClenny, Mosley and Associates, this being ZIFL's 42nd installment of the saga of McClenny, Mosley and Associates, or MMA, and its problems with the federal courts in the state of Louisiana and what appears to be an effort to profit from what some magistrate and district judges indicate may be criminal conduct to profit from insurance claims relating to hurricane damage to the public of the state of Louisiana. MMA, in a January 24, 2025 bankruptcy filing, claimed that it still has hundreds of cases pending in the federal Western District of Louisiana against State Farm insurance companies. You can read the article in the full February 1, 2025 issue of ZIFL at the link provided, where you can note the chutzpah or unmitigated gall of MMA. Next is an article that the Los Angeles Police Department has created, warning of post-fire recovery scams, so that if you are working in a CAT team as an adjuster or investigator, you will be able to recognize when someone is attempting to defraud you. Then next is an article on health insurance fraud convictions, where a Greenfield man was sentenced to 15 months imprisonment for paying health care kickbacks. The case dealt with Mohammed Kazim Ali, who was sentenced to 15 months incarceration for paying health care kickbacks in violation of the anti-kickback statute. Ali was ordered to pay over $2.2 million in restitution to Medicaid and Medicare, as well as a $75,000 fine. You can read the article with dozens of reports of conviction and the full February 1, 2025 issue of ZIFL in Adobe PDF format at the link provided. Next is an article about convictions of other than health insurance fraud, starting with the story of a Maryland man convicted in a $20 million insurance fraud scheme. James Wilson of Owings Mills, Maryland, was convicted by a federal jury of conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, money laundering, filing false tax returns, and identity theft, according to the U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland. You can read about Mr. Wilson's conviction in full and that of others other than health insurance fraud convictions at the link provided in the blog. And finally, a fictionalized true crime story of insurance fraud to explain why insurance fraud is a heads I win, tails you lose situation for insurers, entitled Help, My House is Falling into the Sea. Something that may happen if there's a lot of rain in Southern California after the fires. The story dealt with the fact that career criminals are not the only people who perpetrate insurance fraud. The temptation has become so great that almost anyone who is given the opportunity will try. Those who do not premeditate insurance fraud are called perpetrators of soft frauds. Most are small, some are not. The story that is in this issue is not about a soft fraud, but one that was premeditated for a great deal of money by a person who should have known better and may, after the great Malibu and Palisades wildfires, tempt others to try the same fraud, only to find that they could face jail. You can read the full article at the link provided. Then there's an article from California Commissioner Lara, who issues an emergency declaration to speed Los Angeles wildfire recovery that requires non-licensed out-of-state adjusters to follow all California laws. Failure to profit from the crime of insurance fraud in the next article explains why it does not excuse the crime and why an unsuccessful fake accident will still find the perpetrator going to jail. In a case called The People versus Stephen R. Jackson, the California Court of Appeals refused his attempt to have his felony conviction reduced to a misdemeanor because of Proposition 47. This video was adapted from my blog, Zalma on Insurance, and from my newsletter, Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter. It is available free to anyone who downloads it or clicks on the link provided, and it is available to anyone who is interested in insurance fraud. You can subscribe to the blog, and if you do, you'll receive notice of every blog posting, usually 5, sometimes 6 a week. And you'll also gain access to every issue of Zalma's insurance fraud letter and the more than 4,950 blog postings. If you are interested in further detail about insurance, insurance claims, insurance law, and insurance fraud, please consider subscribing for a very small fee to my Substack publication. Thank you for your attention.